Welcome to the video where I will talk about my finished pictures with animals, flowers, plants, and I want to start from this printed set of postcards, this lovely gift. It's Sicily Mary Baker alphabet printed on Strathmore paper. Well, I have very slow progress with this one. This one was a gift, and I have currently only these finished letters, but I'm sure that after winter season is over, I will start to color these postcards again, because it's a big pleasure to work on this paper, but you still need to adjust. It's slightly different technique of blending and of burnishing on this paper, and it's also very difficult for me to film. You know that I film almost all my colorings, and somehow my camera doesn't like to work on such paper, so it's always difficult to adjust all settings. Well, anyway, that's what I have. No, this one I prepared as my next project, so this one probably is my favorite so far. The rest is also lovely. How to show you all of them? They are relatively small, so I would love to show you all. And that's two my favorites. Well, that's the whole set and two my favorites. They really look lovely together. I wouldn't mind to cross-stitch such projects. I also have a book also gifted to me with original watercolors by Sicily Mary Baker, and yes, I try to copy some of the artist tricks. For example, when I did this background, I tried to analyze which colors she used for a light shading as additional color accents on the leaves, on the background, how she worked with balance of cold and warm shades, especially on gray tones. So it's really very instructive, but also some things I try to do from my own imagination, so I don't copy original art completely. Well, very lovely, and I always enjoy working on them. I love to look at my finished pictures. I hope that next year I will do at least the same amount. Next, I decided to show you my two books by Paule Brun. Let me check, do I need to adjust my camera for the size of the book? Here. So first I received this Amazon as a present. I decided that the very first book of Paule Brun, I'm not a huge fan. Sorry if I don't pronounce the name of the artist correctly. I will try to learn how to pronounce her name for the next videos. So the first book I didn't like a lot, because there was those moments when plants or mushrooms were growing from the bodies, similar to what Hannah Carson loved to do on her pictures, and that's definitely not what I like. But here we have different story, and besides, I really love to color nature from the regions which I will never visit and which I can at least study in such way. I absolutely love quality of these books. I very happy that finally I can use somewhere my Derwent ink pens. They felt neglected for many years after I stopped to color books by Lizzie Mary Cullen, but finally I think that it's perfect match. I don't use ink pens for the whole page. I mostly use them for bigger areas which would otherwise it would be boring to color, and I use them as underpaint. Good example is those leaves where I did ink pens base and then added a more yellowish highlights brown and reddish color accents on the leaves, so it makes your work quicker, and I love to work with regular pencils on top of the base color which I put with Inktense. And the rest main image I did with polychromasis, I believe. Sorry guys, I forgot to put bookmarks. This one, it's the same technique, Inktense, 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 and orchids and the beetle, it's polychromos pencils. For the beetle, I added, I think, a little bit of, I made the front part longer, so now it doesn't fit the size of the page, but I still love that I changed it a little bit. At least reference pictures which I saw for this beetle, it had such head. Very grateful that in the end of the book we have the name of those plants, insects, animals. Very helpful when you need to find reference pictures. That's a quick check. Do I have any other finished projects here? What a lovely page, and I hadn't colored it yet. Well, but I had colored this one, another with tropical fish, and that's where for the first time I used new colors of Inktense, and several of them are absolutely amazing, like Malbuch or Lapis Blue. So I'm very happy that now I have all colors. They really expanded my collection, and they also gave me this creative push to start using them more frequently. I love this more watercolor effect which I got for the upper part, and more intense dense colors for the bottom. There is also a little bit of pearl paint. I don't know if I love this effect or no. I tried to create effect of the wet fish scales, but maybe not very successfully. And after I realized that I actually can color in books by Paule Brun, I got myself also the font fragile. Again, there are names of all the endangered animals and birds, so every time I try to check info about the spices and I look at reference pictures, it really makes coloring much easier. But at least on the background I can experiment. These flowers I did first when I got the book, and they are very dear for me. When I was small, they already were endangered, but you still were able to find them in the forest. So during first weeks of the spring, you can go deep in the forest. We went with my father, and they are so amazing. In the same time, they are very beautiful, but also very fragile. Maybe that's because they are covered by this very soft small hairs, well, almost fluffy. So really they are very beautiful, and I wish that they would be more protected probably, and more popular also in the same time, so we can admire them more freely. There are pictures where I also experimented with watercolors, sometimes more successfully, sometimes less. I think that it mostly depends from paints. There are several brands of granulating watercolors which have worked here. I do love this area. Maybe if it wouldn't be water, I would be unhappy with such stains. But I think that for water, this granulating and cauliflower stains, it even created some kind of movement from the turtle. Some colors totally didn't work. They looked dirty. That granulating effect turned into dirt, so I had to cover them. But with good thick paper I can do several attempts if I dislike how I applied watercolor, I can work on top with acrylic or with regular pencils. Here I have mix of Inktense, watercolor, Prismacolor pencils and polychromos pencils. I think that I grabbed the first thing which had suitable colors and I played with them. That's so far my favorite finished picture in books by Paule Brun. I'm glad that I did this relatively fantasy color of the water. I simply thought that it will be very lovely contrast between such seaweeds, corals, and it also will complement color of fish. I found a really nice reference picture where I was able to see all the highlights on the body, how it has pearlescent effect, how there are so many colors on the veils. Well, really, very helpful to look at reference pictures. You just need to find similar colors and to copy. I'm very proud how I did this fish. This one I did when we had Color with Ukraine theme about cacti. Another granulating Ukrainian watercolor, Rosa. It has very interesting shades, brown, then something like caput mortuum, beige colors. Here I think that it represents soil very well, really helped me to do this background quickly and it looks interesting. And then with various pencils I did cacti, succulent plants. I love this theme, so I enjoyed doing them. Another one which I call intensity of Inktense, because yes, mostly I did it with Inktense. Only the seahorse and some of the let's call them corals I did with maybe it's actinia. So this one I did with Prismacolors. You can easily recognize great lavender, salmon, pink and black grape. I think that if you own the set of Prismacolors, you will recognize those unique colors. For the seahorse, I used polychromoses because I really love variety of orange and yellow shades in polychromos set. I absolutely love them more comparing to Prismacolor color palette. And yeah, quick and intense background. I absolutely love to activate Inktense on good paper, how they flow, how they blend. So it's like additional pleasure just to watch them being activated. Well, I guess that's all. I somehow thought that I have more pictures, and it means that I simply need to spend more time with this book. You know, when I only got it, I thought that, oh, so many pictures with empty background. But now I think that with such a good paper, it's actually a very good opportunity for me to use my watercolors, to try granulating watercolors and also to use gouache paints. So when we have books of good quality, it's really expand our possibilities, our creativity, because we can use wider range of art supplies. Unfortunately, the same thing I can't say about these Australian animals, which are printed on paper which is totally unsuitable for doing layering, what is essential when you color fur and even feathers. So every time I color here, I struggle with paper, but nevertheless I have very good progress. I think that I need to finish like maybe 4 pictures. Let's check. We have 2 sets. I color in the first half of the book only, and here you can see my various attempts to do these backgrounds. I try to do it with paint, with soft pastel. Only when I started to use also markers, they started to look more or less acceptable. That's just awful, all those backgrounds. Apart from difficulty to blend normally fur, but that difficulty I somehow resolved by using different brands. I love to use together very soft, creamy pencils like Derwent Drawings, together with polychromoses, which can draw details to add texture of hairs, strands of hair or fur. Sorry, guys. Anyway, when you combine softer and harder pencils, it makes coloring slightly easier, but still, on good paper with more thickness and better texture, it would be a pleasure to color all those animals. For now, it's battle every time. But I'm grateful to this book that I have learned about so many interesting species of animals, birds, and also flowers. All of them are indicated here. I'm very happy if I can add to these pictures those limited backgrounds. There were a couple of pictures with such round backgrounds, and I tried to add them more. Where a picture allows you to do it, it's always easier when you need to do smaller background. Or several I left without background, and maybe honestly it was a wise decision. I think that this was my last finished one, and here markers really helped me. I very quickly did fur of platypus, again thanks to combo of soft pencils which put the basic colors, and then working on additional shading and texture with polychromoses. I think that fur of platypus looks very realistic. And then that water, I did it with markers, but unfortunately somehow on top of my markers my white paint, both gouache or acrylic, it simply doesn't want to work. Don't know. If I need to mask black lines, they reappear and reappear. Some maybe chemical reaction, I don't know. But I still think that it looks lovely. So even with such small steps, I hope that one day I will finish it. Maybe when I will have some kind of masochistic stick, when I want to color on really bad paper, I will remind myself that I still have like 3 or 4 pictures to finish. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, a lot of work, but still, it has some hopes to be finished one day. Now we are moving to Crystal Voggle. I already demonstrated for other books which I own when we talk about fairy tales, fantasy books, but I think that this one is more suitable for botanical theme, because here we have such a lovely flowers. Honestly, I'm more interested in flowers rather than those creatures. I love them, they are very humorous, very adorable, but still, I prefer to color that botanical part. This one probably is one of my favorites. I think that there is a good balance, everything looks well, both berries, background, and all the creatures. Usually the background, it's part which creates for me the biggest difficulties. Many of these pictures, they have this undefined background and I don't know how to finish them. I tried to use those more regular backgrounds like this one. I think that here it really worked well, and thanks to the good paper quality I was able to use my water-soluble pencils. It's Kohinoor Mondeluz, so I remembered that that's the book where I can use them. I love those pencils, they are very vibrant, they dissolve very nice, they have lovely colors. I just don't use water-soluble pencils very frequently, so maybe I need to remind myself about such art supplies more frequently. You can see these backgrounds. I usually postpone doing them for the last step, and well, I struggle every time when I need to do it. It's also Kohinoor Mondeluz for the background. And here you can see how I try to add smaller background and not to do the whole empty area. What to do with this one? I always don't know. To color only is the inner part, it looks very childish. When I start to color outside, until what area? So maybe it's a stupid question, stupid puzzle, but it really prevents me from finishing this book quicker. And this one. And this one. Here, background was a catastrophe. And of course, if we talk about botanical art, botanical illustrations, the next will be Beautiful Planet and Walk in the Woods by Leila Duly. I decided that I won't be showing again my flower year. It hadn't changed since last year. I hadn't added any pictures, so we will have a look at Beautiful Planet and Walk in the Woods. Sadly, I can't say that I finished a lot of pictures in these books, but I blame the size of these books because they are honestly huge, especially when you have spreads. And also, of course, I blame my own laziness. So in Beautiful Planet, I have pictures with dahlias, simply because they are my favorite flowers. So I hope that one day I will learn how to do beautiful dahlias. I try different color combos because you know that dahlias are very colorful. I already mastered how to color peonies, so some tricks I also use on dahlias, and the lighter one looks better, well, maybe because it's similar to peony. The dark one, maybe it still lacks depth of shadows, but I still love them. I had a lot of fun. Usually I prefer to combine Prismacolor's polychromoses. I simply select pencils from colors which I want to use to create more interesting gradients. So both brands work well on this paper, and it's good because in Floribunda I decided that Floribunda also, I didn't add any new pictures, so of course I own it and I plan to color in it, but somehow recently, because I post videos, I color in the books which are more available. I don't know, I need to check if Floribunda is available. It's such a lovely book and there are very beautiful flower compositions. Well, when spring arrive, I definitely will grab all my flower books and I will color in all of them, I promise. So I have those dahlias and I have this huge work. Surprisingly, it wasn't difficult, and when I finally mastered how to color poppies, I was ready to color even such a huge spread. I struggled with a couple of flowers like those strange blue dahlias, but the rest, it was very interesting. And again, thanks to the combo of Prismacolors and polychromoses, I got quite interesting leaves. I love these leaves. And this one also. I tried to color in realistic way, but I also don't mind to add a little bit of interesting color accents on the leaves. So very lovely. I was proud when I finished coloring them and filming this. So very long but very relaxing coloring. I always think that botanical coloring is probably the most relaxing. In this one I have bigger amount of finished pictures. Sadly, I totally didn't have time during this fall season, and there are such lovely compositions with leaves and with mushrooms. I hoped to do something, but well, wasn't able to. I don't mind to color not according to the season. I remember that this one with hellebore flowers I did during summer hot weather. Also was quite interesting to recreate some beautiful examples of hellebores which I found online on pictures. The left picture I consider as one of my best. I love everything here. Shading on the leaves, combo of green and yellow colors on the leaves, how I did those blue flowers in lighter and darker colors, how I did bird, and also how I added this background. I was so afraid to mess up, but I think that it really complements the rest. So I definitely consider this one as one of my best pictures. On this one I played with Inktense because I totally didn't want to color all the dandelion leaves with regular pencils, but with Inktense I did it very quickly. The inner part, I don't remember, maybe also Inktense, but flowers it's regular pencils. And another one which I love, where I also wanted to do similar dreamy background, like a little bit of mist, maybe bokeh effect, so slightly out of focus, and then good contrast with very vibrant, intense flowers on the foreground. I think that everything worked quite well. I'm especially proud how I did the hair. But again, that's thanks to the good reference pictures where I was able to study all the shades of gray, beige, yellow, brown, deep brown colors which we can find on fur, so very helpful. Next, the same technique, Inktense for leaves of two types, and then flowers and smaller leaves with Prismacolors. That was my test page. I tested a variety of art supplies, Prismacolors, Polychromos, Arctics, Arteza pencils, and paper is so good that you can use cheaper pencils, more professional pencils, still result will be very good. That was my practice page for doing white flowers. I'm still very far from perfection, but I grabbed several ideas how I can shade flowers so they will look less flat and at the same time they still look white. I did this one because it's plant bush actually with flowers, very important to Ukrainian culture, called Kalina in Ukrainian, so we mention it in many songs, so I wanted to color it also. I prefer this bush when it has its vibrant red berries, it's very spectacular, but with flowers it also looks quite nice, especially because Leila added those vibrant tropical flowers behind. Combo is really very lovely. Well, 20 shades of green, maybe even more. That was very good practice how to do such composition when we mostly have leaves, and in the same time how to color them in slightly different way, how to use all green shades from Prismacolors and Polychromos. I think that it was a success, so I like it. It's probably my third favorite after those hair and rest with bird. This winter picture, I think that I did it last winter, and I colored with realistic colors. In the end, I totally ran out of ideas. I added those more bluish or gray blue leaves, and it was very nice final touch. Lovely rest. Sometimes it feels slightly overwhelming when you need to color so many leaves, grass, and not many berries and flowers. But I love such challenges, and again, once you decided about color for the element, then you can just listen to some nice music to do the same elements on the whole page. I love recess. I love to stitch recess, designs with recess. I love to color them. And finally, I have this one. It's a good example of like season between fall and winter. So those vibrant yellow leaves I did with Inktense, pine cones it's regular pencils, And I think that it's a mix of Prismacolors and polychromes probably, or maybe Prismacolors. Definitely the edge, it's beige Prismacolor. The rest I don't remember. I need to check my video. And the pine needles, it's polychromes, of course, pine and juniper, some of my favorite green colors. Well, very lovely. I'm happy with my progress. Maybe it's not many finished pictures, but again, it's because of the size, amount of details. But I purchased those books and they were laying on the shelf for a year, maybe longer. And then I finally started to color in them, and I enjoy doing pictures in Leila Duly books. So maybe in January and February I will check, and maybe I will find something to color. When this Christmas madness will be over, when I will need something to color for winter season, maybe I will continue also to do pictures here. Well, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next series of these videos where I film all my finished pictures and all my coloring books.